And so, guys, welcome back here with Fabrizio Romano. Today, I have a guest here with me to discuss about one of the most interesting players in the world in this moment, KVARATSKHELIA. He's doing fantastic with Napoli in Champions League, in Serie A. And today, here on channel with me, there is an important agent working for CAA agency, CAA base, Christian Emil, doing an important job in the transfer market. And he was the agent who was working for many years on club side, not on the specific deal between Rubin Kazan, Napoli, Dinamo Batumi for KVARATSKHELIA, but for KVARATSKHELIA for many years to have opportunities around Europe on club side. And then now we will know more on what really happened before this transfer to Napoli. Chris, how are you?
Fine, thanks, Fabrizio. Pleasure to be on here with you.
My pleasure, really. And I'm really happy to have you here because, well, a lot of people are sending me messages about KVARATSKHELIA, as you can imagine. A lot of people around the world, not just here in Italy where I live, because many of them are curious how is possible this boy didn't join any other club before Napoli, how smart they were to sign him for 10 million euros. So what I wanted to ask you in first place is, when was the first time you saw KVARATSKHELIA in person as an agent working around the transfer market? So when was the first time you had the chance to see this talent?
I've been fortunate actually that I had the advantage to see him maybe before anybody else, only because my client is a coach called Leonid Slutsky. We represent him. And after his work in England in the championship and also his fantastic work with the Vitesse Arnhem, he returned back to Russia in 2019 to work on the project of Rubin Kazan, to take them back to the level that they used to be, because this is a team that played in the Champions League, Europa League. They beat Barcelona many years ago. And that was the plan, to bring back the prestige to Rubin Kazan. He started work at the end of 2019, and naturally, I follow the games. I follow the games of Rubin. And Kvisha at the time, in 2019, he was not playing starter. He was not starting all the games. He was still young. He was, I think, 18 at the time, or just turned 19. I can't remember exactly, but he was a young boy. And then when Leonid went to the team, he started involving him more as a starter, and basically building the team around him, and because he saw what a special talent he was. So I had the opportunity to watch him from his early stages. And then as I had more players in Rubin Kazan. I have a player called Imbom, who South Korean international, transferred to Olympiacos, and Oliver Albergaard, Danish player who went to Celtic. I got more information about the inside of the team and how the team is functioning, and obviously fantastic information coming back about Kvisha.
Okay. And how was your feeling the first time you saw this boy playing, actually playing on the pitch when he was super young? Because you mentioned he was like 19, 18. How was the feeling on your side? You see many players, as an agent around the world every single week. So you had the feeling it was something different.
I mean, he was tearing apart. Russian league is a very tough league. It's tough physically tough. And this boy was tearing defenders apart inside out. And unbelievable injection of pace, power, both feet. I mean, I haven't seen a player ambidextrous like him in many years. So he just had everything, I mean, Leonid, the coach, helped him develop in terms of when to use all his skills and qualities at the right time, and tactically, and also develop him physically and mentally. But the natural talent was there for everybody to see if they were watching.
Yes.
But the thing is, people were not watching.
Yes, and this is what I wanted to ask you, an important point. How do you think it's possible that other clubs before Napoli didn't jump into this opportunity? And how was the reaction when you first started to get in touch with clubs about KVARATSKHELIA as a possibility?
So first of all, I think in general, European clubs, they're not looking to buy from the Russian league. I think they're looking at players in Europe or the guaranteed markets of South America. That's their priority. They're looking at those markets first, or Scandinavia. Countries where players have a track record of coming from and doing well in the major 5 leagues, right? So that was the priority. On top of that, which was unfortunately, for Rubin, because at that time, if you recall, Fabrizio, it was like the height of COVID, the effects of COVID. So a lot of teams are not looking to spend money.
Yes.
And a lot of teams, especially, were not looking to spend money on players that were not seemed like ready or guaranteed.
To
There's a
have an impact
guarantee
immediately.
to
Yes.
have an impact immediately.
Yes.
And if you look at the perspective of a German club or an English club, why should they go all the way to Russia, right? In a league which they're not so familiar with, even though there's been some, good players coming out of Russia, and spend a big transfer fee on a player from Georgia. With all due respect to Georgian players, there's not a big track record of Georgian players coming to Europe and doing well, apart from Kalatse and maybe Shota Arveladze and Timur
just few of them. Yes.
Ketsbay, maybe three players that we really know about them. So this was I think the reason why they didn't take a, how do you say, concrete interest in him.
And how was, you remember some reaction when you had the chance to, as an agent, to offer this opportunity to say, okay, look at this boy, he's something special. There were some clubs also maybe tempted, because we heard some rumors, about Tottenham for a long time. Tottenham fans, every time KVARATSKHELIA is playing on social media, they are still thinking of that opportunity. I wanted to ask you if it's true that Tottenham had this possibility, if Juventus had this possibility, if you remember something specific about clubs moving and maybe why it didn't happen.
All those clubs you mentioned, they were all interested in KVARATSKHELIA. Most of the clubs that you heard in the media in Germany, in England, in Italy, this was true. They were all interested in him. Eventually, when his name came about and when we started proposing him more and more, people could see the quality. Clubs saw the quality. However, there's a difference between understanding the quality and putting the money down.
Yes.
So at that time, Rubin were asking 20 million, which for me is, now everybody can say is worth much more than that. But even at that time, he had been playing senior football for 3 years, and his statistics, he was scoring, I think, at least 4 or 5 goals a season, assisting 5 a season. For a young boy in a strong league, it's not bad. Okay, it's not fantastic, it's not bad. But I think clubs were not, especially given the climate. No, I think clubs were not so secure to spend this 20 million in the COVID time on a player that they don't have much background information about him, because of the fact that he's not coming from a big football country. He's not coming from Brazil, I'm telling you, if he was a Croatian player or a Serbian player, he would have been sold he would have maybe been sold at that time and for more money than he got sold for at the end. Only because Croatian players, as you see, they have a big track record of big Croatian players who have moved on to the top 5 leagues and done well.
Yes.
And Fabrizio, I'll give you another example.
Yes.
Mudryk, that everybody's talking about now. Right?
Yes.
Same age as KVARATSKHELIA, more or less same position as KVARATSKHELIA, nowhere near the statistics as KVARATSKHELIA. In the last 3 years, if you look at Mudryk, what he's done, okay, this season he's done phenomenally, but before then, when KVARATSKHELIA was playing, he wasn't even in the team. He was not playing for Shakhtar. He was not in the national team. KVARATSKHELIA did it in the national team as well, which for me was also surprising that clubs didn't really pick up on it, because he tore apart Spain in one of the matches. I think it was a Nations Cup match.
Okay.
He was the best player on the pitch against Spain, and he scored a goal in that game. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
And if I'm comparing him to Mudryk, who's of course is a phenomenal talent now, but if you compare the history, Kvisha is far ahead in terms of value in the transfer market. Sorry, Fabrizio, but now Mudryk, they're talking to him about 40, 50 million. And Kvisha, we were talking 20, and nobody really made the concrete step until Napoli came in.
This is what I wanted to ask you. This point on your side, as an agent side, how is the feeling for an important agent when you have an opportunity, a top potential player to move on club side, in this case is opportunity, and then you see they're really slow? You explained us why it didn't happen, but how was your feeling? Because I know the agent world, and I know when you find something special and you don't have the opportunity to enter into some opportunity, is not easy, no?
It's extremely frustrating, Fabrizio. It's extremely frustrating, because you really see the talent and the gem that you have in front of you, and I cannot believe that other clubs. I understand that they're a bit skeptical because of the COVID and all that, but if you just see what's in front of you, he proved it not only in the Russian league, but in the European stage, on the highest level, against Spain, against Greece, against national teams. So it's very frustrating when you hear from clubs in Europe, it's a bit of a risk. It's too risky to spend this money. How many Georgians have done well in Europe? We don't want to take the risk. It's very frustrating, and it's a little bit, unfortunate that some clubs think like that because they're missing opportunities with other players. And I guarantee you now, you'll find a lot of clubs coming to Georgia to watch players. I'm telling you.
It's gonna change the market.
Yeah, they're gonna come and they're gonna come and watch players in Georgia now. Like what's been happening with Ukraine. Ukraine have had years of talent coming through, and now, when you speak about a top Ukrainian player coming from Dynamo Kiev or from Shakhtar, or even some of the smaller clubs, if he's a big talent, you see the numbers we're talking about.
Yes, it's different. And so, Chris, I wanted to ask you also about the price of the player, of course, because we heard a lot of stories on the opportunity to sign KVARATSKHELIA on a cheap price, if that was true, and what was the real price, and how much maybe some clubs wanted to offer for KVARATSKHELIA, and also for you as an agent, why you were so tempted by this possibility, so obsessed with this opportunity to bring KVARATSKHELIA to top European clubs.
Well, the reason about why I was so interested in working on behalf of the club for Kvisha is because I saw him with my own eyes. As I told you, he was phenomenal when he was playing at times, and also because my client, the coach, he was always speaking highly about Kvisha as one of the best talents he's ever worked with, and we're talking about a guy who's developed and sold players for at least 100 million. Alexander Golovin was one of the players he worked with. He worked with Gerard Bowen, who's now West Ham. Ahmed Musa, Seydou Doumbia. So
he knows many players.
He knows better than I do. He knows better than I do what it takes to become a top player. And he told me, he said, Christian, this boy has the ability to reach the highest level. So, of course, I was already interested, but those words made it even more important for me.
Sure.
As to the price, look, Rubin, to be honest, they were asking for, in the beginning, 20 million euros, which now looks like a bargain.
Yes.
Looks like a bargain for a player of his caliber. But at that time, during COVID, clubs were not looking to invest at all, really, in players, in important transfer fees, especially not a player playing in the Russian Premier League,
sure.
And from a country that doesn't have a big tradition of players succeeding in Europe. I mean, the funny thing is, at the same time that that Kvisha was exploding in Russia, West Ham spent 30 million euro or 35 million euro on Nikola Vlasic. Yes. And actually, Kvara was the best player in the Russian league at the time. So it just goes to show you that things are sometimes not balanced as they should be. And although Kvara had offers from Europe, but they were not at the level that Rubin were expecting in the summer of 2021.
How much was more or less? You remember how much they wanted?
Talking about less than 10 million, less than 10 million.
Okay.
Just under 10.
Okay.
So maybe they would have reached the 10 million in the summer of 2021, but at that time their valuation was higher, and fair enough. I mean, you see the kind of players that are going for big transfer fees, and Kvisha, even at that time, given his performances, was worth more than that.
I wanted to ask you the last few things is about the price. No, your feeling in this case as an agent, you know the market very well, and you know Kvisha very well. He's doing incredible. It's still October, it's 2 months, but he's performing at top level in Champions League, in Serie A. Do you think with the current market, where we see many players going over 100 million euros, no, this summer was Anthony to Man United, before was Jack Grealish to Man City, many moves for more than 100 million euros, you think he will become really soon a player for that kind of fee, also for maybe Premier League or any other country? You think he's going to be that kind of player, that kind of level of player?
You know what's crazy, Fabrizio? He's done what he's been doing in Russia and in Europe for the past couple of years. He's come to Napoli, he's done unbelievable, and now people are talking to him about him over 100 million. and he's already been doing it. For me, he will reach, if he continues to perform like this till the end of the season and does it again next season, because I don't see Napoli selling him now. I think it's very difficult.
I agree with you. Yes.
Maybe zero chance. But if he continues as he's doing now till the end of the season and replicates the same form next season, he'll reach 100 million for sure.
The final thing I wanted to ask you before we say goodbye, and thanks really for this chat about KVARATSKHELIA, is if you remember, of course, not mentioning the club or the director or something like that, but an episode that you remember of some negotiation for KVARATSKHELIA that explains to us how special was that kind of transfer that they didn't want to do. So if you remember, maybe you offered him in a specific moment for a specific fee, and some answer you got, of course, not mentioning the club, but just for us to understand how it works also behind the scenes, no? If maybe you were pushing specifically on something and they told you no, because we are not investing maybe 20 million for a Georgian player.
You know, we've had maybe 3-4 concrete video calls between the club and also the player and the player's agent.
Okay.
All from big clubs in Italy and in England.
Okay.
Before it's gone to Napoli.
Okay.
All the clubs saying to him, look, we want you. We want to do the deal. We're just waiting until the end of the season to see where we are, if we're in the Champions League or Europa League, if we have the budget. All these kind of excuses to keep
and to take time
before making a decision.
Yes,
because they always had this doubt that the price was too high for a player of his profile. Eventually, those clubs I'm telling you about, one of them went for a player more expensive than him, but
okay.
because he knew the league, okay. And at the end turned out to be a disaster.
Okay.
So they paid double the money of that would have cost KVISHA,
sure.
Yeah, and the boy was a disaster. And in fact, he was transferred a year later out of the club. So
crazy.
So for me, I mean, those clubs have missed huge opportunities. And I think, a lot of clubs now are going to take players, hopefully. I mean, I hope this is going to happen, that when us as agents propose players from countries that don't have a big tradition of having players in the big leagues, that the clubs will take them more seriously, because you never know where this talent is coming from.
Yes.
You never know when the next big thing is. Like Mohamed Salah is coming from Egypt.
Sure.
Who would have thought a player from Egypt would be the best player in the world, or one of the best players in the world? So now football is a really global.
It's different. Yes, I agree with you.
Global place, and you can never discount a player because of which country he's coming from, and KVISHA is the case. And to be honest, I'm very happy for him, because he's a fantastic boy and an unbelievable player. So I really wish him all the best.
That's great, really. Thank you, Chris. It was a pleasure to speak about it, and it's as always a pleasure to go also behind the scenes of the market, no? Because a lot of time people say, and they don't know, of course, the stories. They say, how is possible no one signed this player before? How is possible no one wanted to proceed? And now we know more on this story. So thank you.
But Fabrizio, it's very important just to stress as well that I really think that the COVID situation really
it was an issue.
Made the difference, because I think if clubs were not so under pressure financially, maybe, I'm not saying sure, maybe somebody would have, like Napoli did, said, okay, you know what, here's the deal, and let's go ahead. And by the way, I'm telling you that if Napoli didn't move first, and they waited a little bit longer into the summer, he would have been sold for more money, because I think by this summer everybody recovered from the COVID situation.
Yes.
And his price already came down a little bit. I think there will be more teams coming in for him.
Yes.
But Napoli moved first, and they're drinking the champagne. They're having the rewards.
Yes. You're right. And thank you, Chris. Really, it was a super pleasure. Thank you for your time.
No problem, man. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care, Fabio. Bye.
As always. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.